Hey everyone, welcome to a Reality Skewed Gamers special. Now, this is Reality Skewed Gamers New Player Week. This is going to be our week of making streams kind of during the lunchtime for a lot of the US people. It's a little bit early for those on the West Coast, but East Coast is lunchtime. And this is going to be basically a series through this whole week at this time where we'll be answering questions from new players in particular. We want to give players, especially the newer ones where there's a lot of different things going on, the ability to ask us questions and be able to actually see what we're doing, why we suggest doing certain things, because it's very easy to get lost in this kind of game. There is a lot of content. It's 2 years old now. And if you haven't been here since close to the beginning, there's a lot of content that can get really overwhelming. And so what we are planning on doing during this series is answering any questions that you guys might have. So if you're a new player, definitely give us... I'm echoing. So, definitely if you have any questions, let us know and we'll answer those as we go along the way. We're going to kind of try and go from the beginning of the game to where you want to end up. There is a lot of different content. Eventually, after this series is done, we'll start kind of compiling these and making it just into one big video guide. But the live streams help because that way you can ask questions live and we can kind of jump around from things as we go along. So, let's go ahead and go through some of just the basics of this overall. It's time to do the basic. Do the basics. So, if you look at when you first log into the game, I know there's like a tutorial and all that kind of stuff. This one there's a lot of different tables for you to kind of go through. Now, when you're first starting, some of these things are going to be locked, and they unlock at different levels. So, just kind of keep that in mind. You might see some things that aren't quite available to you quite yet, but they will be as you get higher in level. And what you'll see is lots of different tables, a lot of different things to do, and you want to make sure that you're prioritizing certain things, certain characters. Depending on who you talk to, there may be some variation on what different people will recommend. And so this is going to be kind of, in general, I think the entire RSG crew, so Infinity. You'll see kind of at the bottom some pictures that were drawn by Silverbolt, one of our fans. So we definitely put that up there because they're really cool drawings. Ranger J 1999 is your regular host for our Wednesday night stream, which is at 8 p.m. You have Grande Patron, who is basically the mod master and a Night Sisters lover. And you have Sir Loki, the lightsaber builder extraordinaire, who definitely is a whale and somehow manages to get different crystals. Just random crystals show up in his inbox and nobody knows why. So let's actually start with that. I called Sir Loki a whale. So if you guys are new to the game, we kind of classify people as whales, minnows, dolphins, using sea creatures in order to basically talk about how much money they spend. So when you are a new player, one of the things you want to make sure you're doing is figuring out how much money it is that you are going to spend in this game. This game is doable as a free-to-play. However, like in most games, if you're going to be free-to-play and not put money into it, what you are not going to get is time savings. Like with most games, you pay in order to avoid the time wait, in order to get certain things. And so if you want to be free-to-play, you're definitely able to. I am essentially a free-to-play player. Very little money invested kind of at the beginning. But one of the things you'll want to decide is what is your spending going to be. And spending early can be very critical, and you want to make sure you do this efficiently. And we'll go through kind of what you can do in order to maximize whatever money you're spending, especially at the beginning. And if you're not spending, what kind of different characters and stuff you want to go for. But again, we'll start off with kind of the basic Cantina. And you'll see that the Cantina has a lot of different stores again. The first thing is this general store. Now, this is the store where you will see all of the special packs. And these packs are all going to be kind of seasonal. Not necessarily seasonal, but event-driven. So when there's different events that are going on, you'll see that you'll get different different packs that you can potentially buy that will link to whatever it is that you are, essentially whatever it is that is going on in the game. And so when you're looking right now, you see that there are Empire packs, you see that there's kind of like a Probe Droid pack. All of this is related to what is currently going on. And so one of the things is you don't necessarily need to buy these. Most of these packs are going to be based on high-end content that is currently going on. And so if this is content that is currently going on, you'll want to decide whether or not you feel you need to be competitive in it. So just because these packs are here doesn't mean that you have to buy them. They just provide a benefit to you in a certain aspect of the game that you may find beneficial if you're trying to push for that high-end content. You do, however, want to go all the way down to the end. And at the end, there is this thing called the Bronzium Data Pack. The Bronzium Data Pack, or the Bronzium Data Card, is one that is completely free. And so that one is one that you will get 5 free of every single day. And there's a 20-minute wait between the timers. And give me 1 second here. I'm trying to just fix this. I have no nails, so I'm trying to silence my phone here. So one of the things is that you want to make sure you maximize the use of these Bronzium Data Cards. And Bronzium Data Cards, when you go into it, you can kind of see what you can get. You can potentially get character shards. You can potentially get gear. You can get potentially at the bottom what are full character unlocks. So characters are going to be kind of the basis of the overall game. You'll need to collect characters. You'll need to basically level them up. You'll need to gear them up. You'll need to do all the different kind of things because the characters are essentially going to be the lifeblood for you of the game. And what you're essentially going to be doing from there is as you level up characters, you'll be figuring out what you want to do with each of these characters and which characters you want. Yes, and the voice that you hear now is from Ranger J 1999, who I mentioned earlier is the host of our Wednesday stream. Hey, Ranger. Alright. So, the characters that you can get from the Bronzium are going to be essentially free for you, and you get them more or less for free. They use this currency that are called ally points. And ally points are gotten as you complete different missions throughout, and we'll get to that next. As you get these, you'll get ally points for each of your battles. And once you get those ally points, okay, let me see. They don't hear Ranger. Let me make sure your thing is on. Okay. So when Ranger just hopped on, by the way, so that may be why you're not hearing him, but he should be joining here soon. But just to kind of continue here, when we're looking at ally points, you'll get them from completing different missions. And as you complete the missions, you'll get those, and you want to make sure you utilize those, because that is essentially a free source of character shards in order to level up a different character. And the more characters that you get, the better that it is. So spend these as you get it. I'll go ahead and I have enough for one right now, so let me go ahead and spend it, and you'll kind of see I've already used my free ones for the day. But you get the fun little data card animation. And this time I got some gear. Now when you're in the lower levels and you're leveling up, and if you're a new player, all of this gear can be useful. So go ahead and smack them onto one of your characters, get them leveled up. You get dailies for gearing up characters. You get a daily for leveling up characters. So all of these things that you're getting, which are essentially for free, are going to be very useful for you. So going into how you get your ally tokens is by doing different missions. So you'll see that there's a light side battle table, which is right here. You have the dark side, which is over here. And you have the Cantina, which are over here. Now, characters are divided into two different kind of, basically, segments. There are light side characters and there's dark side characters. Underneath each of those, you also have different factions. So, you'll see that there are light side and dark side, You can also have a classification as a crew member, which is related to a ship. There are ships in this game. You will get this as you are a higher level. You can be either an attacker, a tank, a support, or a healer. So those kind of your classification of each character. And then there are different factions of characters like bounty hunters, clone troopers, droids, empire, etc. And those all tend to have some kind of synergy with each other. And not necessarily the greatest synergy. Some are really good, some are not so good. So you do want to make sure you're focusing on certain characters as you are leveling up. And my drink of the day is Coca-Cola, just so you guys know. So, as you are leveling up, you'll want to make sure that you are picking kind of characters that are working together with each other. You don't want too many fragmented characters. Some groups may work with that, but if the characters are too fragmented, then you're not going to get too much of a really good synergy with them, and it becomes harder to actually do stuff. So, as you get your characters and you get your shards, you'll use them in these battles. Now, light side battle, as you can imagine, only allows you to use light side characters. Dark side battles allow you to only use dark side characters. So, in order to progress through those, you will need at least 5 light side and 5 dark side characters, especially as you get to the higher level tables. And within each table, there are different levels. These levels will open up as you reach certain levels. Once you reach max level, all 9 levels of the table will open. Cantina battles is actually open to all characters, light side and dark side. So any of the characters that you're working on will actually be able to be used in Cantina. So you're working with different synergies with different characters, different purposes on different tables. So that's how you're going to be ending up getting different things in the game. In your Cantina table, you are getting primarily character shards. So you'll see this node, for example. So each of these are different nodes, and they are given a number. So you'll see 1D, 1E, 1F, so on. And this one, for example, gives you Lando shards. Now, shards are how you can maximize a character. I have something in my throat here. Give me 1 second. You hear me. I turned it off on the output to the stream. Hey, I am recovering from my cold. I only have this cough left, so I think I'm doing pretty well here. No, you're not really supposed to write yourself prescriptions. Yeah, I know. House is a very bad example of an actual physician, but that's a whole... He was brilliant. He was a great diagnostician, but in terms of actual people and half the things that he does being possibly frowned upon by the DOH, yeah, no. All right. So characters get leveled up or sharded or starred up through shards. Now, if you go to an individual character, they have 3 different ways that you level them up. The first thing is going to be the level, and that's in this bottom left corner. The maximum level is currently 85. So the maximum level being 85. And Ranger, go ahead and talk now. I think they weren't hearing you before, but I think you should be fine now. Can you say something to the people, Ranger? And Ranger's not saying anything now. Now he's intentionally making me seem like an idiot. Okay. So, yeah, yeah, you all think that I'm talking to myself, but Ranger's here and he's making fun of me. So it's a good thing that he was muted. So, what you'll see is in the bottom left, one of the ways you level them up or you boost a character is by level. So levels can go from 1 to 85. That 85 will increase based on whatever it is that is the current maximum level. So at the current time that this is being recorded, the maximum level in the game is 85. The next thing is all these little boxes that you see in the middle, and those are the gear. Now gear will go up from level 1 all the way up to level 12. This isn't necessarily based on the level, so if the level cap, for example, increases to 90, that doesn't necessarily mean that the gear is going to go up to level 13, for example. It is all just kind of based on, well, it's based on whatever the current atmosphere is in the game. It's a separate entity altogether in terms of increasing the power of a character. So the boxes here will be the gear, and we'll go through some of my lower characters. I've tried to boost most of mine, so you'll kind of see, not level 1 necessarily, but you'll see like a level 5, and I'll show you a gear level 5. So that's one way. And the third way, in order to boost a character, is in the bottom right corner, and that is the stars. Now the stars go up from 1 star to 7 star. And the 7 star is something that the devs have come out to say. So devs, meaning the developers of the game, have previously come out and said that they do not intend on increasing the stars. So right now, if you get a character to 7 stars, you can expect that the maximum will stay 7 stars. And there is a reason for that in another area of the table, which we'll go over here in a minute. But those are the 3 ways where you can basically increase the power of a character specific to each character. So once you apply a piece of gear to, for example, my Luke Skywalker here, if you put a piece of gear on him, that gear stays on him. At the current time, there is no way to remove a gear from a character. So if it's on there, it stays there. And as you fill up all 6 boxes, you get the ability to move up to the next level. And then you'll get another set of 6 boxes that you have to fill out. Currently at gear 12, you can fill out about 3. 3 of them will get this little lock icon, which means there's nothing more at this current time. So maximum for most of the characters right now is 3 out of 6 at gear 12. What you'll also see on this top right here are called mods. Mods can be switched from one character to another. They provide a bonus to the stats of the characters, and they will be needed as you reach especially the end game. They can be very useful in the early game as well if you are cautious about how you go about farming them. But that is another way to boost your overall character, but these ones are interchangeable. So you can move the mods from one character to another, give maybe one character a particular stat for now, and then you want to move it for a different purpose later on. So the mods are interchangeable. Now, just looking at a lower gear character, for example, my Kit Fisto, so you'll see that some of them are related with different colors. So gear 6 is blue, gear 7 becomes purple. I believe at gear 3 to 4, it changes from green to blue. And then gear 1 is going to be white. So once you start boosting your characters, you'll start hitting all of these different gear levels. And ultimately the goal is you want to get to that yellow in order to get gear 12. Now, that is the maximum. It may not necessarily be best to always get gear 12. Now, this will be kind of based on whatever you are actually going to be doing. So if you are going to be a free-to-play new player, and you are basically not going to be investing too much money in this, maybe very minimal money, so you're kind of in like that goldfish plankton range, you may not want to always go to gear 12 because it is heavy resource investments in order to do it, and you may be better off getting more characters to gear 11 than you are getting less characters to gear 12. So it all kind of varies a little bit.
All right, I'm back.
Okay.
Sorry about that. You know, Finn, you've got to do it. I know we were doing it this week, but I didn't know we were doing it today.
We're doing it all week.
We're doing it every day this week. Okay,
yes,
I misunderstood.
it is new player week.
It is my fault. It is new player week. Okay, yes. So every day at 12, we're going to be doing this.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, and we're going to be helping new players.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
And now hopefully you all can hear Ranger and you don't think that I'm going insane.
They couldn't hear me?
I accidentally had the mute on, so I was talking to you, and I said your name, but nobody could hear me.
Is the stream running okay?
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to have to run. You started it, so
yeah, I mean, the stream is going good.
Okay.
And I see people talking about the Funkos. Here's mine. It's my Chewie. I like my bobblehead Chewie. He has a little porg in his hand. if you see the little porg.
This is different. I'm used to doing all the streaming stuff. I'm kind of sitting back, just
Yeah,
like
no, you can just chill out.
I know. I got all the schoolwork that I usually do Mondays, but I can take a break.
Yeah.
I'm on top of it. You know what I'm saying?
So
I'm still
as you
recovering
guys
from
are,
Saturday too.
yeah. So that's Ranger. You all can hear him, and as I said before, while he wasn't, well, you guys couldn't hear him. He hosts our Wednesday stream. So Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern is when we have our regular weekly stream at night that we go through all
Mm-hmm.
of the latest news and content that's going around in Galaxy of Heroes. So even if you're a new player, you're still getting used to the game. Still hop onto that so you guys can catch up with the latest news if you're not able to follow all the forum posts and all the other posts that are going on the Reddit. Hop on there and you guys can get kind of the updates for everything. But as I was mentioning before, characters max out at 7 stars. So what happens if you get shards for a character beyond 7 stars? In that case, there is this feature that is called the shard store. Now, the shard store, and we'll kind of work from right to left here and get you all accustomed to the overall cantina, which is what this is called. This area is called the cantina. And obviously in the background, there is a little bar there hosted by our bartender, Mrs. Cozy Spoo. And Cozy Spoo is tending the bar, talking to people, making everyone happy. If you don't get the reference, go ahead and watch some of our earlier videos. But we have the shard store. Now, the shard store will not be unlocked for you when you are first starting the game. It'll actually be locked, and if you click on it, it'll tell you that you need a character at 7 stars before it opens. So, the reason for that is every time you get a shard for a character beyond 7 stars, you will be able to convert it into shard store currency and buy gear. So, this store has changed recently. So if you see some of the older videos, there used to be other character shards that you could get in here. But if you look now, it is very gear heavy, and the gear is actually very useful. So I'm actually going to buy this one because I need those stupid guns. So this is the shard store. You'll be able to get different things from here. There is one character in here, which is General Grievous. He is available
Lord.
in one other spot. But he's not someone that you necessarily need to farm. You are better off getting gear early right now. It is possible Grievous is going to get a rework at some point. I think it's been hinted. Just to kind of let you guys know and try to bring you guys up to speed, there is probably a Grievous rework coming, I would say maybe within the next 6 months or so. But if you are a new player, it is not something you want to work on. It is way too
No,
much
I
investment.
just unlocked them
Yeah.
and I'm slowly working on them, but I do not buy anything out of the shard store for that purpose. Because Grievous, it used to be not too long ago that you had a lot of characters that were in there, and besides gear, and but even then, was it Grievous, and then sometimes they would put in like certain characters that were, Ahsoka for a limited time and things like that. I think now they've just gone straightly just Grievous and gear, but you still don't. I mean, Grievous is like on the lower end of priority for any new player to get. I mean, of course, if you want to spend a fortune, but by all means, go for it. But do not get Grievous. He's not very well. And it's sad. It's just certain characters in this game. You kind of know what CG is trying to go for, but then as a new player, we see this all the time. They start farming characters, and you're like, no, don't get that character.
Yeah, it's not all characters are built equally. So there are definitely some characters that are not worth it at all, especially in your early progression. They have a purpose really, really late in game. So just to kind of give you guys an example, Lobot is maybe one of the least used characters in the game. He's there in the movies. You may recognize him as the bald-headed guy that looks like Conan, Conan O'Brien. But he is
not my Conan,
not Arnold Conan, and he is one of the least used characters in the game. So let me see if I can bring him up here for you guys. There he is. So one of the least used one of the least used characters in the game. However, end game, so long-time players, really higher level guilds, such as like ones that I'm in and the guilds that are Rangers in, they might need Lobot because of a very singular purpose in territory battles. Because he shows up in what are called platoons. Now, this is kind of late game content, not something you have to necessarily worry about right now. You guys will have territory battles that you'll be dealing with, but you don't need to worry about getting Lobot for your guild because it will set your roster back. So do not set your roster back with these little ancillary things that will pop up. So different characters now do have a purpose somewhere in the game, but what you want to make sure you do is manage what those expectations are and if it's worth it to get it now versus later on. And there are a lot of characters that are not worth it right now, and Grievous is one of those, especially with the cost that is required. So that's the first store, kind of all the way on the right. The next one is the ships. Now, ships is another area where you can potentially get...
Before we move on, did you mention the gear that's in there and when not to get it, even as a new player? You want to kind of hold off using that,
Go for it.
you know, well, I mean, there's gear in there too, you know, and you're going to be, not that you're going to start, you're not going to get excess shards, even once the store unlocks, right? The only way that you get shard store currency is you have excess characters, right? When you're later on, you start getting characters from bronziums, things of that nature, you know, from raids, once you've finished unlocking certain characters that will give you shard store currency. The thing about gear in there, later on that we recommend, as you can see, I was looking at the screen, I saw that Finn was working on was it MK5s? Those for, you know, there's certain gear in there that you really want to focus in on. Do not buy blues or greens. And there you can get those just from regular farming.
Well, there's some really rare greens that I still buy, actually.
I don't.
The stupid Mark III Blast Tech weapon discs.
I know, but you could farm those. I mean, the drop rate, I think, was where we were doing Jedi Academy on Saturday that was talking about, you know, the percentage of drop rates per level from whites to greens to blues to purples, and then the different types of purples based off their level, and then of course gold gear. And really, honestly, even some of the blue. Now, there's a couple blue ones that you probably might want to get if you need them, but honestly, the way Finn's doing it with the MK5, the stun cuffs, and you know the oh my God, the Carbantes. As a new player, you haven't felt the pain of the Carbantes, but you know those are. It's a really good deal once you start getting shard shop character to get those and to farm them consistently. So I thought it would just, you know, something for the future for new players. So, you know, when you get it, don't buy a Grievous and then certain gear that you want to get from there.
Right. And something just to kind of note about utilizing this game too, which is something we want to get you guys familiar with. If you don't click on the button itself in order to purchase. So if you click on the currency one, it'll ask you if you want to purchase. So not on that one. If you click on the little gear icon itself, so I'm going to click on the little yellow box where it has the Mark V Athicum Med Pack, it'll tell you how many different ones that you have of that particular gear. So don't buy something that you have a ridiculous number of. So if you see something that you may have like 800,000 of, don't buy it, right? But one of the things you want to be careful about is, for example, if I click this Mark IV Fabrotech data pad, you'll see that it says I own 0. Some of these are crafted items, right? So you require different pieces in order to make the whole piece. And what they may be selling here is the full piece, right? So how do you know if you have the full piece or whether or not you have kind of the little piece? What you can do is jump into one of the characters that's listed below. So it shows you all of the different characters that need that Fabrotech pad. Let's suppose I click on this first character, which is HK47 droid. So if I click on HK47, it'll take you to that screen again where you see all of those different boxes. And you can see on this character right here, on the right, I have 0 of 1 of those Mark IV Fabrotech pads, but you can see that there's a little green plus sign. And that green plus sign means that I can make some of these items. So if I click on it, you'll see that it'll tell me all the different pieces that are needed in order to make it. And so if I bought it, I would just get this full piece. But look at what I have in order to make it. I have 240 of this piece. I have 149 of another piece. And if I click on this other piece, since this is kind of a multi-crafted item, I actually have over 3,000 of this one. So I could make, right now, 149 of these, because the Mark II piece is my limiting factor here. I could make 149 of these, but it shows me as having 0 of 1 because I didn't craft it. Okay, so don't go ahead and just buy things. Make sure that you see whether or not, if it's 0 out of 1, whether or not it's actually something you have 0 of, or whether it's a crafted that you haven't actually just crafted yet. And there is no reason right now in order to craft something ahead of time. The different base materials can be used for different items. So if you craft it, you're kind of sticking yourself into one area. It's just more about managing your resources. You don't have to convert it. You don't need to increase this 0 number in order to make it seem like it's 1. Just make sure you know how to check whether or not you need an item or not. And that will help you as to whether or not you need particular gear.
Well said.
So now that we're done with the shard shop, let's go into the ships. So in this game, there are several different currencies that can potentially be used. You'll see kind of in the top right, there is this currency that is called shipbuilding materials. We call it fleet currency. And this is what you will use in order to level up abilities of ships, level up ships in terms of stars, as well as leveling up the ship level itself. Similar to the characters, they also have stars, they have levels, they do not have gear. So that is the one thing that is lacking in terms of kind of improving the character. There are abilities, like characters in ships, that you can level up, and those require particular mats. We didn't go over this yet with the characters because there is kind of more involved with the abilities. So we'll either, if we have time today in this hour stream or maybe tomorrow, we will go through the abilities part. But just in terms of the currency aspect, this currency will be used to level up abilities, level up stars, and level up the level of your different ships. So that's where these are going to get used. The other currency that you see up here listed are the crystals. Now, the crystals are the freemium currency in this game. So by freemium currency, it is the currency that is available in-game for even free-to-play players, but you can also buy this currency with actual money, and this is where you can actually save some time. So if you remember kind of at the beginning of the stream, money in this game basically saves you time, like in most games. You can pay in order to avoid a wait. And one of the things you'll be doing in order to avoid the wait is buying crystals and then exchanging those crystals for something in-game. Whether it is particular shards, whether it is for energy refreshes, which we'll go over shortly as well. Whether it is to do refreshes in Arena. All these different things utilize crystals. So crystals are the freemium currency in the game. And the next currency that's relevant for fleet are fleet tokens. Now, you will see this when you go into the Fleet Arena store. It is this little purple circle. They are Fleet Arena tokens. You gather these by getting high up in your fleets. Now, Fleet Arena will not open for you at the beginning. I believe it's level 60 that it opens up for you guys. So, do not necessarily worry about fleets. Okay? When you get there, you can then we can then think about leveling up. You can try and work on some of the crew members ahead of time in terms of characters if you want to work on them. But and if you're just starting, don't think too far ahead to ships, because there's a lot more to do with characters than there are ships in this game right now. And so if your characters fall behind, you will set your entire roster back a lot more than if you miss out on some ships. But success in Fleet Arena will get you these tokens, and these tokens will then allow you to buy different ship shards. So these are the ship shards at the top here. It can potentially let you buy some character shards as well. Now, there are some rare ones that are only in the Fleet Arena store that you may want to purchase. It may not be something that you want to purchase for really common characters. So just something to kind of keep in mind there. You can also buy ability mats, and you can also buy Zeta mats. Now, these ability materials are what you use on characters in order to level up their abilities. As you level up abilities, they get different bonuses, whether it's just pure damage, whether it's cooldown reduction, whether it's an addition to the base ability. The increase of your abilities is what makes your character even better. Okay, so you can buy certain currency. This currency in particular, this ability Zeta Mat, is the rarest one in the game right now. That
Oh
does
yeah.
not mean to go ahead and buy it though.
No, do not do that.
It's not something you want to buy. It's expensive, and what you see as one is really just 1/20th of what you need in order to level up a particular character's ability. It is the max ability on certain characters. You need 20 of these. So if you want to max out somebody's ability, you need 20 of these at 2,000 each. That's 40,000 tokens that you are losing out on. That could potentially buy 100 purchases of these character shards, which would get you 500 character shards, and you only need 330 in order to get a character to 7 stars. So it's not something that you necessarily want early game. It is a late game purchase. Even late game, sometimes it's not something that is terribly bought because of how expensive it is, and there's use for other things potentially in here. So just keep that in mind. There are some things in the game that are not designed for newer players. They are nice and shiny, like these ability mats. They have a really good purpose, but they are way too expensive, especially early on. So don't go ahead and touch them.
Yeah, I think the thing about the ship store is that there's a certain way you want to go about attacking using the ship store. When you first unlock it, you're going to see characters and the Zeta ability mat and all this other stuff, right? You want to focus on ships, and you want to focus. There's 2 places you can get ship shards, right? There's the you can farm them. There are hard nodes that have ships, but really your Galactic War is a place where you can get it, and then there's here in the ship store. The ship store one, when you first start, you want to focus on getting your rebels up first. You want your bigs and your wedge, and you want a team that you can go in and finish the daily. There's on the when you go in the ships, there's a ship challenges, and depending on the day, today's Monday, so they're all of them are unlocked, but you'll want to get your ships so you can unlock the fleet admiral ships, and you want to focus everything on your ships first, right? You want to get your team up first so you can unlock the Zeta challenge itself, so that you can start farming Zetas that way, right? Because once you beat at 3 stars, you're good, right? But you got to get the ships to do that, and it'll pay off in the long term. Instead of having to farm all that stuff, for Zetas and stuff, that's the one way that you will get your Zetas, and you get a chance for Zetas on Sunday, Monday, and Thursday, right? So when you first get in, you're going to look at characters like, oh, Ahsoka Fulcrum Tano, I like her. Let me just use 400 on that. No, don't do that. Get ships, some of the rare ships too. You want to focus on your main fleet in the beginning, because again, you're going to be doing fleet arena, and you want to get your fleet arena at least somewhat viable as well. Once you get that going, then you want to start farming into those rare ships that are really good. Boba Fett, Scimitar for Darth Maul. Those ships that only you can get in, besides maybe here and there that you can farm on a hard node, and the drop rate is awful. But those ships in those areas is when you, after you get your main fleet going, to start farming those ships, to get those ships going as well. Character shards you will use later on when you get to a level like me and Finn, where you're like, okay, I've got most of the ships done, but I'm working on those rare characters that I haven't finished. Then you start doing that. Or if, say, you're at 19 to 20 Zetas, and you're like, okay, I want to get this Zeta. I want to get I need a Zeta for Barris. Let me get that. I'll just save 2,000. Bam, got it. 20 done. Rock and roll. That's when you start using those shards and Zetas in the long and the end game.
Yeah. And I have the challenges up here right now, so you guys can see what the 3 ones are for the ships. Like Ranger was saying, so on one day, which is on Monday, all 3 show up. The other 6 days, they all alternate, kind of one at a time. This one in particular, the ship's ability material, is the one that you want to try
Mm-hmm.
and unlock as soon as possible, like Ranger was saying, in order to get those Zeta mats for free. You saw that in my attempt, I did not get the Zeta mat. It is not
There
100%
you go.
drop
I
rate.
get used to that. Yeah, I get used to
Yes,
that.
it's definitely not 100% drop rate, but you can get anywhere from 0 to 2. And in order to see what the rewards are when you enter into a particular ability or event or challenge, you can click on possible rewards, and it will show you what the maximum, and if it's the minimum is 0, it won't include that number. But you'll see that the possible rewards, for example, on this high end one, are 2 purple mats, 2 omega mats, 2 zeta mats. These are ship prestige mats, and these are all ship ability mats here. And then you also get some purple, and you can get some fleet currency. Okay, so as
Yeah.
you progress, you'll see that the Zetas are only available in the high end. They are not available in the middle or the lowest one. So that's why it's
And
important
that's
that you
okay.
work on your ships.
Yeah, and that's okay. Zetas will come.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you said this, Finn, but it's all about it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. I mean, and you just got to be patient. There's times. I'm sure Finkins understands this as well. I'm sure a lot of you in the chat understand this, that you'll get times where you'll do both of those battles and you get none. And then you'll get one day where you get 4. It happens. You just have to be patient. And in the long term, on average, I think it's 6 a month you get from those, 6 depending on
If you're
uh,
lucky.
if you're lucky, but I think that it averages out to 6. For those times that you don't get, you get 1 or 2. The other
Yeah.
times it kind of averages out roughly around there. So, but that's a long term game. You basically, that's just how it works. And I think they've done a better job, which we'll cover much later on, about other areas where you can get Zetas that they've added on to the game with the territory wars and stuff. So, don't stress out. You'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what it is.
Yeah, and the worst thing you can do. So one of the really nice designs about this game is that you will be essentially paired up in the competitive areas of this game with others that are similar to you and or your guild. So
Right.
you're not going to be fighting me. You're not going to be fighting Ranger. You're not going to be fighting Grande Patron. You're not going to be fighting Sir Loki. The way these things are designed. So, for example, your fleet arena. Your fleet arena is going to start, and I think our chat was just talking about mobile gamers, so you'll see mobile gamer and I are on the same fleet arena shard.
Kill him.
Oh, he's in 50. I'm not going to do anything right now. I'm saving my attacks for later. But your fleet arena shard, all shards, whether it's your squad arena, which is your characters, or your fleet arena, which are ships, are all generated at the time that you are eligible in order to do your actual fights. So, as soon as you are able to enter into your fleet arena, there is an active shard, or an active server that is gathering about 10,000 people as they level up to that level. So if you are in that 10,000, you are going to be in a group with your latest 10,000 people that are eligible for fleet, and then a new server is going to start. So you're going to be constantly just being faced with the people that were leveled up around the same time that you are. So you don't have to worry about people that are way ahead of you. Nobody should be way ahead of you. The only way that you end up falling really far behind on your squad arena or your fleet arena is if you stop. And that can be one of the cratering effects on your account, which is you stop playing the game. Once you are in your squad arena, once you are in your fleet arena, it doesn't change. So if you stop and everybody else continues to progress, now you are going to start falling way behind compared to the rest of your shard. So when you guys are starting to play, make sure that you play every single day. Get those little bonuses. If it's just the bronzium shards, make sure you do your dailies. Get those extra crystals. Try to do your attacks in arena to try and get as high as possible in order to get those extra crystals, those extra arena tokens. Once you're available in fleet, do your fleet battles every day. Try to get higher. Get those different rewards. So it's one of those things where if you are starting this game, right, make sure that you set aside a little bit of time for all these different things. right? And we'll go back to kind of the Cantina area to kind of show you. So this was the fleet. There's also Galactic War, which is when it's open for you, you'll be able to kind of fight different squads and get extra bonuses. We'll go into that here in a second, but you'll also see there's Squad Arena, which is where you actually fight different teams. There is the store, again, where you get your daily bronziums. So make sure you go all the way down to the end here and get your free bronziums every single day. There is the shipments. The shipments have characters that you can buy for the crystals. Again, that's your freemium currency. But also at the very bottom, there is gear that you can buy for your simple credits. And some of these can be very rare. Again, these ones are usually going to be salvage, unlike your shard shop and your guild store, which also sell currency. These ones are going to typically be your salvage, and you'll see the word salvage there. If they don't have the word salvage, like the keyboard, the keypad will usually just be kind of by itself. Now, for me personally, I don't know if you do differently, Ranger. If I have less than 1,000 of any of these, I go ahead and buy it. There's always a chance that a new character is going to utilize these. Some of these end up being utilized a lot, like these keypads. The Mark IV keypads I use a lot of.
Yeah.
But if I have less than 1,000 of any of these, I go ahead and buy them. You do want to buy at least 3 in a day, though, because that is for your daily achievement, your daily activity. Right. So always buy at least 3. But I would, even at the lower levels, it's not a lot of credits. It's a few thousand. Buy gear from here if you have less than 1,000 of it, and once you're over 1,000, you don't have to buy. Or if you want, start off at 500 if you don't have a lot of characters, and then once you get more credits and you're more happy with your situation, then you can push it up to 1,000. What is your strategy on the gear in just the regular?
Well, I mean, so really, I look for those blue ones that you really don't have a lot of. Usually, this is where you get a lot of your. There's blue and then there's blue gear, right? There's some that it's common, and then there's some that is not so common, and there's quite a lot of it. So those are the priority that I buy from there first. Even some of the green gear, you're like. The thing about gear is, some of them they're easy to farm, but it's nice to have, that salvage in there, because when you're getting your characters from 1 to 3 and then 3 to 5, this is where this green and blue gear, white gear, you're going to have an astronomical ton of, especially once you start farming characters and stuff. And then, but this is a good place to get some of those pieces, right? It takes a little bit longer, but every little bit helps. So if you can be smart about what you need, I'm with you. 1,000 is a great way, but once you start leveling your characters, it's going to go by quick, and you're going to be surprised how fast when you're popping 5 at a time on each one. It's like, okay, I don't have any more. What happened? And that's when you start realizing you have to really, again, it's the long game. So hoarding. Some pieces you're going to have so much you're not going to know what to do with it, and then some you're going to be like, I don't have any of these greens, and then you have to farm them. So it just, buy this as much as possible. It'll help you. And of course, bronziums too. Bronziums drop a lot of those green pieces and stuff that you need for your characters when you're first leveling them up, because there's 140 characters in the game now. They all got to be leveled at some point, and you're going to need those lower end gear pieces that you may not think, well, I've got my arena PvP done, and I've got this done. Why am I going to farm this? And then you'll see when it happens where you get that one character, you're like, oh, I need a ton of these little blue balls, like an astronomical ton, and you're like, I don't have any. Well, if you'd been buying them out of the store, it would have helped you out a big time when you're doing it. So yeah, buy.
Yeah. And this little green dot, I know it's faded because I bought the item, but if you see that little green dot, that means that there is at least one character that needs that particular item in order to level up their current gear level. If you click on it, you'll see all of the different characters, and you can slide this bottom bar in order to see all the different characters that need that particular item. This one, for example, like Ranger was saying, these are Mark IV keypad salvage. You need 20 of them in order to even use them. So 1, 2, 3, doesn't matter. If you have less than 20 salvage, you don't have enough to level up a particular gear. Some of them actually require multiple of the full keypads. So that means you need 40, 60, 80. So you can see why some of these end up being really useful. As you can imagine with any game, especially one like this where you can potentially be free to play, but you also need to generate some kind of income, there's going to be certain different gears that are going to be restricted, right? So going back to the crystals and the freemium currency and how that comes into play, there are certain gears that are always going to end up kind of being your... I'm losing the word for it, but it's kind of going to be your kind of your funnel point, which is at some point that is what you are running out on, and that is what you will want to consider if you're spending money, whether or not you want to spend money on that particular thing. This happens to be one of those gears, the Mark IV keypads. There are also things like the Mark III Carbantes. There are the Mark III holo projectors. There are the stun guns that you see that I bought earlier from the shard store. There's stun cuffs. Most of them are going to be the higher level ones. They're going to be pretty much purple. Definitely the gold ones. You'll see a lot more of it. You'll see a little bit in the greens, not so much in the whites, because the whites you can kind of farm them pretty easily. So the whites you'd probably never want to actually spend anything on. But
no,
the purples for sure, maybe when you want to start spending, because these, for example, the salvage for the stun guns require 50 in order for a full piece. And so in order to level things up, it kind of varies. So just kind of keep that in mind. Again, a game, just to kind of keep things in perspective, and there's a large player base out there. A game is a business, right? So they need a way in order to get money. The money is what keeps this game going, and the devs do a really good job of trying to keep this game going by trying to keep the content fresh. They do interact on the forums, so there's a lot of things that they do in order to keep this game going. So don't just feel frustration if you don't get the gear. Remember, that's part of the difficulty of a game. It's not just supposed to be given to you. It's just supposed to be kind of just fun. There are challenges in the game. You plan to beat those challenges. You can plan to beat it with money if you want to, or you can just plan to beat it with time and organization.
But the thing I always recommend for new players is don't just throw money at it.
Exactly.
It's fun to spend money, right? I do. Here and there. I don't buy like cards or anything like I used to, mainly because I got most of the characters unlocked, and some of the newer characters I just haven't seen. But let's say a Revan came in. Well, I'm going to make an investment if the character's good in that. Something along those lines. But it's okay if you want to spend money in certain areas to get certain things. But get the game going first. Kind of get a plan, organize your plan, and then use money, especially if you're on a budget. If you only spend $20 a month, I'd use that on crystals. What are you going to use the crystals for then? Well, get the certain items that you're missing for your characters, to get your character done. That's how you kind of have to be strategic with how you use the money in the game. Some people just, they've got $5,000, like, I'll just buy the whole game. Okay, great.
I think but Loki says that a lot too, right? How he knows people that have spent more than he does. So Loki, you'll kind of see his image on the bottom right of the screen there, the little graphics are Loki. He's one of the more whalier characters of RSG, and he basically says, like, he knows people that have spent even more money on this game than he has, but they haven't spent their money in an efficient way, so their roster is well behind his. And Loki is kind of killer in pretty much every aspect of this game. Like, he knows his stuff, and he knows how to efficiently spend, especially if you're spending large sums of money, where you need to focus it. And we'll probably do a whole different day on where you should spend your crystals, since it's a whole week. We'll probably have like a whole day dedicated on crystal spending, because that ends up being
chromiums, chromiums in the beginning. Once you get your game going, if you want to spend money on chromiums, that's not a bad investment once you get going. But you don't want to just start buying chromiums just to buy them, and that's not a good investment. You have to kind of see, once you things going and everything's set up, then buy some chromiums. Of course, it's still RNG based, but you're going to start getting some characters from that you can start investing towards your overall roster. But I think we can do another whole day about just
Yeah, we will.
on
We'll do a
purpose.
whole day on crystals because being that it's the freemium currency, that's going to be kind of the key for you guys in terms of how to properly manage your roster. So we'll definitely go a lot more into that. Um, but kind of just continuing here, we're going to try and keep
Go
these
for it.
kind of about an hour every day this week. And if you guys have questions, I've been reading the chat there. You guys are all talking with each other, which is great. There's a lot of people in the chat that are the regular Reality Skew Gamers viewers that are definitely able to help you guys too if you have any questions.
Oh
Following this, if you
yes.
guys are watching this on replay, if you have any questions, go ahead and post them in the comments of our YouTube video. Tomorrow, when we start our next video, we can address those kind of off the bat, and then we can get into new material as well. But just continuing kind of from right to left here, the next thing we kind of left off at was the Galactic War. Galactic War is a phase where you are going to be facing squads from other players. Now, this is going to be kind of gauged on where you are in the game. So, depending on where you are, this should adjust in difficulty. Now, it's not supposed to be super easy, nor is it supposed to be super hard while you're leveling. As you get to level 85 and you start developing a collection, it becomes a lot easier. So it's kind of your reward now as you get to level 85. But in the
Mm-hmm.
meantime, it can still be a little bit of a struggle if you are not careful. So things that you'll want to
Oh, big
do
time.
is make sure that you have a squad, either one squad or multiple squads that can persist through multiple different waves of damage. And that's essentially what these are. You'll see as you get to a higher level, this becomes a lot easier. So I'll just run one really quick on auto for you guys. This is one of the really good teams that you can potentially get. It's not one that we recommend kind of off the bat because there are some rare characters in here. This is the Resistance. So if you guys are starting because of the new movie, you may recognize Finn, Poe, R2-D2, BB-8. There's also kind of a generic resistance trooper here as well. This is a resistance squad. It is one of the good squads you may want to farm later in the game. Early on, though, it's hard to kind of get these characters, so it's not something you want to necessarily do. But you'll see, if you have a squad that is good and can kind of keep up, maintain their health, maintain their protection, you'll see in the combat there are 3 bars above the heads of the characters. The little blue bar that is closest to the head is called the turn meter bar. This kind of determines the order in combat. So I'm going to stop this here in the middle. So you'll see that my BB-8 down at the bottom is highlighted. He has a full blue bar, and that means that it is his turn right now. You can look at the blue bars of the other characters to determine who is going to go next. Now,
And
the
that's
amount that the...
huge.
Go ahead, Ranger.
Well, because based off what the other team's doing, the same thing in arena, right? This affects what you want to do with your character and their abilities based off, what they can do and what maybe they can do an ability block, maybe they can do another thing. This is important to pay attention to because this will affect, if you're paying attention, how you want to use your abilities and when you want to use your abilities, right? Because that's the key thing. A lot of new players don't pay attention to the blue bar, and then they start using random abilities, and you may not be the time to use a certain ability. You may want to save it, based off order of who's going and who's going when, right? Because that ability might make another character better, but you want to save it because their team's going, they already used there's a lot that goes into it, but that blue bar you really want to pay attention to and when you want to use those abilities, because if you use them the wrong way, it could lead to you getting wiped out in certain occasions because you use that ability at the wrong time when you really didn't need to, or vice versa, and their team's going, so maybe you need to use this ability so you don't take as much damage. There's a lot that goes into that little blue bar, and it's something that you really need to be hypersensitive to.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, then like Ranger was saying, like when you get into the high level content and if you're trying to be competitive in arena, knowing how to read those bars correctly can make the difference between you hitting into the top 20 or staying in the top 200. So it's definitely a skill that you'll acquire as you kind of go through the beginning levels of the game. Above that one, which is kind of the darker green bar, is the health bar. They're divided into segments. As you see the segments getting kind of smaller and smaller, that just means that the health is that much larger. So you'll see, for example, in the back, my resistance trooper, the gap between each of the bars is a little bit bigger than the R2-D2 in the front. And that just means my resistance trooper isn't quite up to the level as my R2-D2. And it's true, my resistance trooper is a little bit less geared. So health is one aspect of survival for a character. The other one is the light blue, light greenish one that is above it, which is the top one. And that is the protection bar. Protection bar is similar to the health bar. It's just a different mechanic or different variable that is being stored on the character that determines their survival. Protection is usually what is damaged first, and then it goes to the health. But it varies sometimes based on particular abilities. You will not see protection on your characters, though, until you get them into purple gear, which is gear 7. Until you get them to gear 7, characters do not have protection unless you put mods on them. And chances are you're not putting mods on a character that's that low. So, again, protection is another element of survival. You won't see it until you are gear 7. So if you don't see that extra bar, do not worry about it. Just focus on trying to maximize your current characters. And the things that you see above their heads. So you'll see above my characters, there are green boxes. Above the opponent's characters, there are red boxes. You can get red boxes on top of your characters as well. There are 2 different types of things that'll show up above the head of a character. They're either buffs or they're debuffs. You can click and highlight, or you can click and hold them on your phone. So let me do it here. If you click and hold above a character, you can see what all of the different things mean in the particular order. So you'll see that the kind of the explosion box looking thing by itself means plus 50% offense. You can see the one with the 2x in the middle means that it's critical chance. The exclamation point is critical damage. Those 3 and the next one, which is the little man running icon, means that the speeds are going up. And those are going to be pretty much standard icons. You'll see them in other aspects of the game as well. Sometimes, though, you'll get ones that are unique. So you see the one that looks like kind of the upper half of BB-8 all the way on the right. And that one is called Secret Intel. That is one that is given out by BB-8. So that is one specific to his character. And so you'll get some that are specific to characters. You might get some generic ones as well. But those are buffs. Those are ones that increase different abilities on your characters. On the opponents, you'll see red ones. Now, you can get these on your characters too. But what they are things that reduce different aspects of the character whose head they're above. So you'll see that this ray has the little same explosion icon, but in red. So that means there's 50% offense down. You'll see that there's another one that has a little flame icon. That is one that is particular to, right now, R2-D2, which is burning. And that's kind of a special thing that R2-D2 does with his special. And there's another one on Poggle, that's a little magnifying glass, and that's called Expose. So he loses 20% health if he's damaged by an attack. Now, I'm going to see if I can get this to happen here, so let me manually play. Let's see if I can get it here. I don't know if I'll be able to survive. The ability block Poe. Of all things, really? Okay. I was just about to taunt with Poe and he ability blocked him. Stupid Poggle. Okay, so above Poe now, you see this one that has a little X, like a little chained X. And that one is an ability block. And that means all my special abilities are blocked. So you'll see kind of in the bottom right, my little box for resistance bravado has kind of that chain over it, which means I can't use it. So that's what ability block does. Resistance, or the expose, that is that magnifying glass, can get stacked multiple times. And if it gets stacked multiple times, like a little number 2 would show up above that icon, and that means there are 2 of those that are stacking. And there are different abilities that can get kind of stacking. Expose is one. In terms of a green one, there are health over time buffs that will heal you over time. And so those can also stack on your characters. So just different things to kind of know when you're reading these. You can see the different buffs. You can see the different debuffs. Learn kind of the different mechanics as you are doing the light side, your dark side, and your Cantina battles. If you're taking the opportunity to learn about the buffs and debuffs, that will really help you when you're getting into the competitive stages like Arena and even in Galactic War, which is a little bit more competitive, especially as you get into the different content, whether it's Rancor, which is one of the raids, whether it's the AAT tank raid, which is another, obviously, raid. There are 2 territory things there. There's territory battle and a territory war. Knowing how to read these abilities and different buffs can really help you in the end game. Okay, so that is essentially kind of the basics of combat. I'm going to finish here and finish that. When you see those numbers, some of the numbers show up in yellow. That means you critical hit. If it's in white, that means you regular hit. If it's in blue, there's a particular type of damage called special damage. Don't need to worry about that too much right now. But just to kind of understand why you're seeing the different numbers, it's either crit, regular damage, or special damage. And that's why the numbers are kind of changing. And then as you complete each node in Galactic War, you get different rewards. So you'll see that you get some crystals, you get some ability mats, you get some different currency, and you just kind of progress your way through all of these different nodes, and you get your different bonuses. I think we'll do Arena this time, Ranger, and then we can save the rest of the Cantina, I think, for the next stream.
Sure.
So Squad Arena is where you will do primarily your combat. This is where you fight other people that are on your shard for around the same time as you are. I'm going to see if I can get this here for a second. Let me add this. So it may be a little bit of... You'll get to see me kind of setting up the stream here. So I'm going to add my alt accounts gameplay for you guys. See if it works.
Damn it.
Yeah, there we go. Alright, so I have an alt. It is called Grande Patron's Beard. Now, Grande Patron is the name of somebody that's at the bottom of the screen there, so you'll see him. But he shaved his beard, and in memory of his beard, there is a...
He's growing it back again. He's
growing it back now. He's growing
the old Fu Manchu. He's not doing the full beard, but he's doing the, you know...
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, but you'll see. So this is what I was mentioning to you guys before. So this is an account I started a while ago. I don't do a lot on this account. I every now and then kind of jump on, get some energy, just build it up kind of slowly. It's hard for me personally to manage 2 accounts. I know there's other people that do it pretty easily. Just for me personally, it's not easy. So he's just kind of there. And you'll see that he's level 61. This account was started a while ago. Now, this is why I mentioned to you guys that it's important that you do not kind of stop if you want to try and play this game kind of fully. If you go into your... if you click on your name here in the top left, it'll kind of show you the basic stats of your entire account, essentially. And you'll see what my arena squad is. My arena squad is kind of these low-level characters. You see them. The icons around each character kind of tells you their overall gear. Again, yellow means that you're gear 12. Purple is between 6 and 11. And then anything lower, whether it's blue or green, will still imply kind of weakness on their part. And so you'll see them. Mine are 2 blues, 2 greens. They have some of these little spiky icons which designate different levels of gear, which we don't have to go into too much right now. But just to give you guys an idea, because this is an account that I made a while ago, but I don't play very much, let's go into my squad arena on my alt account and see what it looks like on the top. So if you go into your arena, right now I'm in rank 2,896. Ideally, you guys want to be at least rank 200, and we'll go into the details about that probably tomorrow. But you do want to try and be at least rank 200. But you'll see most of these are kind of around the same gear level and everything as me. But let's go into the ranks, and you see at the top, they're all kind of golded out. You see one kind of purple there. They're all pretty much golded out. If you click on, let's click on number 1, for example. He is full golded with all 5 characters. His galactic power is almost 3 million. Meanwhile, mine, on my alt, is 66,000, right? So this is why it's important that when you guys are starting your game, that you are trying to play every single day. Because if you do stop, that is how you create that mismatch between your roster and other people on your arena, and that is how you can actually set your roster behind a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you guys want, again, when you guys are starting, try to do some of the basic, do all of your daily activities every single day. Make sure you're getting all of those bronzium packs. Buy those credit gears from your shipments, because at least at low level, they're going to be pretty useful. Okay. And just try to build your roster and fight in arena, right? When you get your practice with your light side, your dark side, and your Cantina battles, as you're doing your different things there, you'll get an idea about how your characters work. You'll be able to read those buffs, read the debuffs, read the turn meters, and then you can face them instead of against non-player characters or NPCs. You can face them against other people in your arena shard, and that's where you go through here. So if you go again, if you click on Squad Arena, you'll be able to fight people that are on your arena, and then you can fight them. You can see what your weaknesses are, what the opponent's weaknesses are. Sometimes they may just overpower you. That happens. So don't worry about losing. Losses happen, okay? It's not something that you have to win every single time. But you learn from those losses. You try and figure out why. Maybe it's just you need to improve the gear. Maybe it's you need different characters because it's a bad matchup. You get experience with different types of games, so take it as a game. Take it as a learning experience. Have fun with Arena, especially if you try and reach out to some of the other people on your arena. If you want to try and there's an area of the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes official forums where you can actually basically try and find other people on your arena shard. So if it's something that you want to try and do, what the essential convention is that you kind of put the name of the top few people of your arena shard as the title and see if anybody is on the same arena shard as you, and then they can reach out to you. There's also another website, swgoh.life, that is also kind of building up arena shards for people to get contact. Early game, it may not be something that's really necessary, and especially if you're kind of in the lower ranks and you're not in the top 50 or even 200, or not 220, it's not going to be worth it for you. It's more for competition's sake. But you can reach out to people, and that can help you kind of enhance your experience in the game. Anything else on Squad Arena? I'll go into the store there in a second, but anything else on Arena itself?
Well, just realize that if you want, Squad Arena is where you make your bang for your buck, right? This is the most important thing that you need to have. So you need to focus on the best team you can run in Squad Arena. And if you're not, you don't want to ever chase the meta, because unless you're going to spend a lot of money, it's going to take you a while to get there. But if you look at the end game, for Arena is where it's at, because this is where you're going to get your crystals and your rewards that are going to help you out over a long time. And so you want to have the best, all your gear and everything once you get set up right is towards that Squad Arena team. And this is my opinion, and people may differ, but for me, having the best Squad Arena team allows me to go in every day. Now, I am in a shard Discord where we talk who's going to get what place, but it allows you to get those crystals and stuff that you need to farm so you can do other things. Like I get, 500 crystals, or 400 crystals, and I use that right now for farming Veteran Han and Veteran Chewie. There is a domino effect from the top down, and Arena is where you make your most bang for your buck, right? And so you want to have the best team you possibly can with the best gear and the best mods, and that's what you really want to focus on more than anything. If you want to be successful. Now, if you don't really care about PvP and it's not that big a deal, that's okay too. But I'm saying if you're going to be competitive in the game, this is where you need to focus your best of your best in here, because everybody else is, and that's where you really got to stay focused on too. Constantly upgrading your characters, getting the best gear. Whichever team you're going to run. So this is where the rubber meets the road.
Right. And just something to go on what Ranger was saying, if you guys didn't understand. So he said the term chasing the meta. Essentially what that means is chasing the top type of squad. So on this account, which is my main account, you can kind of see what the meta requires, right? So you'll see that there's kind of one Akbar team, and this one is semi-meta, and meta means that it's just a really successful squad right now in Arena. And so this one is an Akbar lead with a Hermit Yoda character, Commander Luke, General Kenobi, Thrawn. There's another one with Commander Luke that is a Luke lead with Thrawn, Han Solo, R2-D2, and General Kenobi. There's another one with General Kenobi lead with Barriss Offee, with R2-D2, with Thrawn, and Darth Nihilus. Now, these are what are maybe considered meta teams. And meta basically means that they're just like the top teams.
Well, meta is it means most effective tactic available, right? And that's kind of what that means. Mm-hmm. And another really good way to you can look at people's teams and rosters. That's one way. But if you go to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.gg, they have a meta report, and you can look at what are their top teams. Yes. You know, for top 10, top 100, top 1,000, and that can kind of give you an idea of where your team ranks with those teams at those levels there, and you can kind of look at those teams and see how they're modded, how they're being used. Star Wars swgoh.gg is a great site for newer players to really get a sense of information about this kind of thing.
Yeah, and you see it up on the screen right now. So it's very simple, swgoh.gg. You can create an account. In order to create your account, let me just go back to what you'll do is, if you go into your account, and if you click on if you click on this little gear icon, at the bottom there is this player ID. And the player ID is what you take and you enter it into swgoh.gg when you make your account. There's an area to sync your roster, and when you sync it, it will pull all this information from your roster into the website. We'll go into more detail about that, but this site is a great reference. It shows you all of the different characters as well. So you can go through all the different characters that are currently in the game. You can explore their abilities. You can see their stats. A little bit of high-level stuff, probably, than what you're looking for from kind of a starter.
Sure.
But what we're talking about in terms of the meta report is that on the left here, when you go under the units, there is one of these things called the meta report. Now, the guys at swgoh.gg do a great job of keeping this updated. So when you go to meta report, it will show you based on either rank 1 through 10, or rank 1 through 100, what are the top leaders in the game. What are the top squads in the game? What are the other, total top characters, right? There's only one leader, and there's 4 other characters. So if you just look at all the characters, what are the top characters? And so what Ranger was saying earlier about not chasing the meta, right? These characters, for example, General Kenobi, Commander Luke Skywalker, R2-D2, General Thrawn, Han Solo, Darth Nihilus, Barriss Offee, so on and so forth as you go around. These are really useful characters in Arena, but they may not necessarily be the best characters for you right now. There's a lot of content in the game. And if you start trying to chase these particular characters, you can potentially set your roster behind. Especially when, less so right now, lately the meta has been kind of stable. But previously the meta was changing very frequently. So by the time you got these characters done, there was a major change in terms of what was effective. And essentially everything that you worked for wasn't that as useful. Okay, so when we say don't chase the meta, you can look at these, maybe get some ideas. But the main thing, and I think if you ask any of us, is make a plan, stick with the plan. The more you change your plan as you move along, the farther you fall behind. Because now you have kind of a couple of things that are only halfway done, versus even one thing that may not be as useful, but it's fully done, and you can utilize it in different aspects of the game. So you come up with a plan, and we can help you come up with the plan, and then stick with the plan. I think that's a good stopping point for us today here, Ranger.
Sure. I think so.
So, again, this is our week-long new player week of live streams. We'll be doing these every day this week from Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And we'll go through kind of all the different aspects of the game. We've gone through a lot already. We've gone through about half of the Cantina, right? So we'll kind of pick up from Squad Arena and then continue all the way to the left. But In the meantime, if you have any questions, in the description of this YouTube video, there is a link for the Reality Skewed Gamers Discord. Discord is a chat program that will allow you to connect to a lot of other gamers. Our Reality Skewed Gamers Discord has people from many different kinds of guilds, many different guild communities, and all of them, including myself, Ranger, Grande Patron, Sir Loki, when we are around, we are definitely willing to answer questions for you guys. So you can go ahead and post questions in the comments here of this YouTube video, and we'll answer them at the start of the next stream. Or if you want to hop on the RSG Discord, you can ask us questions there, and we'll be happy to answer those for you too. But I think that covers everything for this stream. Anything else, Ranger, before we do our full closing?
No, just let us know what you think about this series. If you guys like it, then maybe we'll do this more often. Especially if you're a new player, give us your thoughts and comments, on the bottom. Keep it civil as always. If you're going to be an asshat, then just know we'll just delete. We just don't deal with you. We just delete your remark, I mean, it's just, we don't have time for it. But opinions are important, just keep it constructive. If there's things you'd like us to cover more of, or you think that we could get into more depth, or what you like and what you think we could be doing better, please, by all means, put that down there. We're doing this for you, but, we want to make sure we're doing the most content at the highest level, so if you're a newer player, that you can understand what's happening, and that's what it's all about. And if you guys really like this series, let us know. We can do more of these, maybe every month or two, where we kind of go in and relook at things, and because it changes, because we back in the day we did a full 3-hour beginning thing, and I went back and looked at it, and I was like, oh my god, this stuff's outdated. Oh my god, this stuff doesn't even, it's not even the same. So yeah, but and then of course support the channel. We give us a thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Yeah, and definitely subscribe so you guys get notifications. If you click that little bell icon, you'll get a notification of whenever we start our live streams, so you can always keep up with that. And again, you'll kind of see it in the bottom left of your screen there. We're currently going, I believe, on episode 77 of our weekly live stream, which is every Wednesday at 8 p.m. So we've been doing this 77 straight weeks coming this week. So that stream may be a little bit more advanced, but it's something, even as a new player, that you can find useful. We go through the latest news from the community, whether it is information put out by the devs, and we're expecting some big information coming this week about the Jedi Rey, which I think a lot of you, especially if you're new, may have seen. So it's a release of a new Rey character based on the new movie. So just getting more information about that. There's also going to be just some general stuff about the new content in the game, such as the Dark Side Territory Battle, or just the Territory Wars. Lots of new things coming in this game right now, and we go through all of that on our Wednesday night streams at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And while this particular stream is being done this week to focus on new characters, we have another stream that we do on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Time that is called the Jedi Academy. There's a group of other gamers that do YouTube videos that are called Game Changers, and they're officially kind of promoted by EA. So we have a couple of those guys that will join us on our Jedi Academy stream, which is a full 100% question and answer stream. You guys ask the questions, the panel answers it. So we have some of the Game Changers on there. You'll have Ranger as well as Sir Loki, Grande. I'll be monitoring the chat on those. We also have Darth Bella. We have Mike Hunt. And we have Riemann Azam and Warrior, who are Game Changers. So
Smithy, if he ever gets his stuff together.
Yes. Yeah, and Smithy D is another Game Changer that kind of started the Jedi Academy. And he's been busy lately, and we've kind of just been carrying it for a while he's been busy, but Smithy D can hopefully be on as well. So there's a lot of options for you guys on YouTube. We have a lot of videos on our channel as well, and again, if you have questions, you can put them in the comments of this video, or you can hop on the RSG Discord, and we can answer them to you kind of a little bit more frequently than once a week. But I think that covers everything for us, Ranger.
Yeah,
so
I think we're good.
All right, so in that case, for myself and Ranger J 1999, I am Finity for Reality Skewed Gamers, signing out.